Elysiumcraft is a world-building roleplay server where players develop civilizations that stand through the test of time, where only the strongest get to survive. The history of this server is jam-packed with legends and stories that I'd like to show you that created the foundation of what made Elysium into what it is today. This is Elysiumcraft, and I'm here to show you the entire timeline when it first began and to what it is now. Let's get started. In the ancient world of Elysium, only a few players were roaming the world, scavenging for resources and shelter. Over time, players have banded together, creating small villages. Each village monopolized in a certain niche, such as ores, food, and mob drops, but the most successful village was known as the High Tower. High Tower was set on a mountain, and their stronghold was a tower that seamed over their village. They were successful in villager breeding and iron golem farms, selling their precious ores to other villages. They were praised for their fair trades and their socialistic leadership, which means there was no leader in the High Tower and everyone had equal power and opportunity, and players exchanged resources to other players that were in need. The High Tower were ambitious, and their ambition led them to industrialize the world, creating minecart networks to other villages. This increased their publicity and power over the smaller villages, and over the course of time, the smaller villages realized that the High Tower were getting too powerful. The small villages banded together, forming a party known as the Max's Party. The party was led by Eucharia, an influential and well-respected player from the smaller villages. Eucharia had ideas to destroy the High Tower and use his power to make him the sole king of Elysium. Eucharia decided to write an ultimatum to High Tower to peacefully seize the power he wanted. He sent his trusted general, Kozpaya, to send the message to High Tower. The citizens of High Tower were furious and demanded a meeting with all the citizens. The most respected players in High Tower, the Mighty Pickles, Tiger0618, Darian5, and Christo, arranged a counteroffer to Eucharia's ultimatum. The next day, they sent Darian to ride over to the Max's Party headquarters, revealing their counteroffer. The High Tower offered to split their village into two different parties and create a district where it is neutral. They wanted to create a government where players vote in a democratic process and elect the most popular player to become mayor of all of Elysium. Eucharia saw this as the perfect opportunity, and he agreed to the counteroffer. In early March of 2020, everyone on the server created a neutral town called the Capital. The Capital had everything to a courthouse to punish convicts, the mayor's house to pass laws, and the legislative room to create laws. The players then hosted the first democratic election, with each party having their own candidates. The parties that competed to become mayor were the Max's Party, the Bat Party, and the High Tower Party. Each party needed to have three things to qualify: a belief, two loyal supporters, and a representative. The most popular party was the Max's Party, led by Eucharia. Their belief was to rule in a communist society where all players were treated equally and to grow the biggest potato farm to provide for its people. The next party was the Bat Party, led by Tiger0618, and Bat is an acronym for something, but their belief was big anime and in hopes to continue the democratic society. The last party was the High Tower Party, led by the Mighty Pickles, where they wanted to restore their common beliefs and to build the highest tower that the server has ever seen. The election was close and the debate was intense, but the party with the most votes was the Bat Party with a stunning 12 votes, a total landslide. The Bat's ideals were so moving and powerful that it converted some of the Max's members to vote for Tiger instead. The first election has ended, and Tiger is now the new mayor of Elysium. First day, as Tiger being mayor, he wanted to pass laws that would enforce the fairness and safety for all players on the server. Tiger was well respected from his past and was known as the Peacemaker, settling disputes between players. As he was mayor, players felt comfortable and Elysium was prospering, and the capital was developing rapidly until one unfaithful day. One morning in April of 2020, the common people of the Max's Party formed a coup and tried to take over the Bat headquarters outside the capital. Only reaching to one of the outposts guarded by Christo, he valiantly fought off the invaders, killing them on sight. With Christo being the last one standing, he immediately reported to the capital, telling Tiger the alarming news. Tiger ordered to put the capital on full lockdown and put all the Max's players in jail. Tiger demanded Eucharia to show up to the capital court. Eucharia reluctantly agreed and was escorted to the capital. All the citizens of Elysium were there during the court case. The judge who was standing before Eucharia for his crimes was Darian. Darian is known for being a neutral player with little to no bias and was a well-respected merchant. Christo wanted to make sure he could win the case and hired a trusted ally, the Mighty Pickles, to be his lawyer, while Eucharia wanted to only represent himself. The court case started, and the Mighty Pickles started to explain the tragedy that happened with Christo as the main witness. He made a convincing argument, but Eucharia defended himself, saying that he did not plan the coup at all, and it was the party's members' decisions to upstage the coup. Eucharia demanded the traitors to be summoned to the courtroom, and unsurprisingly, they did not show up. With all the evidence that was collected, Eucharia was convicted as guilty and was charged a $1 million fine, in-game currency, and for all his valuable items to be confiscated by the capital. He agreed to the terms, and over time, he paid his $1 million fine. The Marxist Party slowly dissolved over time, and their disappearance created a new party called the Coalition. The Coalition was led by Elysiumcraft, who was a new player at the time, and was a loyal supporter to the Bat Party. Being under Tiger's rule, he thought Tiger was too nice and didn't rule up to his standards. One day, Tanuma stood up in front of the mayor's house and made a speech on how Tiger was not fit to be president. The capital's citizens gathered round to listen to what Tanuma had to say. Tanuma was preaching to create more laws, giving the government more authority over the people. His speech created an unbalance of power where the people had more power over the government and created an outright civil war that plunged the server into total anarchy. The server was up in flames. Players backstabbing and collecting everything they can do to survive. Players try to band up together and create their own form of order, but failed in doing so. The once powerful and respected players went into hiding and waited until the time was right to claim what was theirs again. Much was not known of this era, since most of it was not recorded by players, but everything changed when a particular player joined. After months of pure catastrophe and destruction, an enlightened player aimed to bring back order and peace to the server. The player known as Dutan created the first empire in Elysium, known as Xi Epsilon. Xi Epsilon comprised of almost 40 players and was the most populated empire known to be today. Dutan ruled with an iron fist and was heavily respected by his fellow brethren. His empire focused on military strength and having the best technology on the server. They automated almost everything you can imagine and produced valuable resources at alarming rates. The person who industrialized Xi Epsilon was Ace Gamer and HFXCK. Ace Gamer, also known as Ace, was the head of the redstone machinery and was the first player to ever kill the Ender Dragon. Dutan's military strength was comprised of elite units known as GLIZZY Gladiators. The GLIZZY Gladiators were small but yet powerful group of soldiers that focused on maintaining authority and control over Elysium. Everything was going good until he expanded too far. Dutan's empire expanded to the point where he was neighboring other players' towns. Those two towns were also notably the second and third most powerful lands on Elysium. The first town was Keckers, who was led by Sun 5. Keckers was a hermit land who did not engage with the outside world, making themselves self-reliant. They became an unmovable stronghold and stored the most powerful warriors ever known at the time. The third strongest land was the Akatsuki, led by UV Ceres. They were also a powerful land, who were known for their ruthless tactics in war. When Dutan reached their borders, he saw them as a threat to his power and decided to wage war. Before his official declaration, Ace intervened and demanded a better plan for Keckers and Akatsuki. Ace proposed an armistice, giving the top three lands temporary peace unless one land invades. The three nations agreed and decided to flourish with peace and prosperity, but peace never lasts forever. This will be the end of part 1, and part 2 will be made soon. Thank you so much for listening, and I very much appreciate if you like this video, and feel free to join Elysiumcraft today.